for the ride home in ENC.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
This is your 5 o'clock drive with Patrick Johnson.
Holy mackerel!
More news, more interviews, more ECU stories than you can shake a stick at. Hey, stop shaking that stick. This is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Pirates win! Pirates win!
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, hello again, everybody, and welcome. It is the Patrick Johnson Show, a 75-minute edition today, leading you into pregame coverage of ECU baseball. So we'll be with you until 6:15, and then Coach O and Dylan Johnson, who's scheduled to join us on the show in a little bit, a little later on, they will give us an update and lead you into ECU baseball today. 6:30, first pitch, and you can listen to it here on the home for Pirate Athletics, 94.3 The Game. Lots going on. We're going to jump in. Mike Maniscalco, friend of the show, will be with us here, voice of the Carolina Hurricanes, as the Canes await their Eastern Conference final opponent. So we'll look forward to talking to him in a few minutes. Excited about that. And as I mentioned, Dylan Johnson will be on. Philip the Rep Pilkington is here. Before we get into some of the hubbubaloo of the top 5 at 5, a couple of things here. Let's give some laurels to some of the local spring sports teams that are playing this evening in the 4th round, in a lot of cases, of the state tournaments, particularly in the diamond sports. So 3A East Baseball, it is Aiden Grifton. They are hosting Perennial Power Whiteville tonight down in Littlefield, as the Chargers are the number 1 seed. Rose, number 1 seed in the 6A, hosting Southern Alamance. I still think Conley and South Central, it's interesting, they're on a little bit of a collision course. 7A tonight, Conley hosts Holly Springs, which ironically that city is one of the host sites for the state championship series. And the 2 seed in the 7A, South Central, welcomes Cardinal Gibbons. I think it's going to be a tough game, possibly, for South Central. Let's talk quickly about softball. 3A East Farmville Central. They're having to go to the 2 seed McMichael. That'll be a tough one for them today. In the 6A, it is Rose hosting Triton. I think this is the furthest Rose has gotten into the softball playoffs in its history. And number 1 seed Conley is in action in softball tonight. They could be taking on, in the Eastern Conference Final, New Bern, who plays tonight as well as the 2 seed. J.H. Rose lacrosse. Girls lacrosse and boys lacrosse are both in action as well. So congratulations to all of them. Just like to give the shout out to the local teams, as they are, as you know, Pilk, having competed in the scholastic ranks. This is always the big time of year, the last playoffs of the academic year, and it's a lot of fun for the schools involved. So we congratulate them.
Yeah, no, it is fun. I always, that was kind of the nice thing about only running track in the spring, is I got to really enjoy the playoffs for baseball and softball, and girls soccer was around this time for us. Our girls soccer team was always really, really good at my school, so it was fun. We kind of almost had a playoff game. It seemed like every night, or even sometimes you were hopping around, going from one place to another. So, yeah, man, it's awesome, and it's a good way to kick off the summer.
All right, we got to get to Mike Maniscalco here in a few minutes. Dylan Johnson scheduled to join us as well. Right now, here is the top 5 stories we're tracking for you on this Friday, the 15th of May. It is our top 5 at 5 on the Patrick Johnson Show.
This may very well be our last mission. Let's make it count.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
It's impossible.
Now some stories you may have heard.
Ready?
Or catch it for the first time. This is your 5 at 5 with the P-Man.
Number 1.
Alrighty, number 1, Pirate Baseball was in action last night down in Boca Raton, taking on the FAU Owls. The Owls had not dropped the opening game of a series in 5 consecutive series. They had won the opener. You had to go all the way back to when they got swept by UAB 6 weeks ago, but it was a 7-5 victory for the Pirates, and big thanks to Ryan Towers, who worked into the 6th inning. He did allow 1 run, but it was unearned. After the game, Towers spoke and mentioned how he thinks this team really can beat anybody if they're playing their brand of baseball.
We know what we're playing for. And, everything that's happened so far this season is in the past. We know what we're playing for, and we know that we can win. And we know that when we show up and we play our brand of baseball and we go after people, and we've got a little bit of attitude to us that we could beat anyone in the country. And so, we just got to show up every day with that attitude, with a little bit of flair, and I think people are going to be very surprised with how far this team goes.
It gets up, I think it's 4-1, 6th or 7th inning last night. I think they were about to start the 7th. Pirates are up. And you know what I do? It's time for bed. ECU's should have this one in hand the way the pitching is, and then the real game starts. Obviously, Towers was sensational. I think Ethan Norby has to be equally spectacular tonight. Now, Towers was facing their number one, and that guy did give ECU some real trouble last night at times. And but again, it's kind of to that back end, and you almost kind of chalk it up to it's the way college baseball is. Maybe it's the way baseball is in the American, but these late inning situations that become a little bit tenuous. That is that's always not. It can be it can be tough as a fan. So I got a text as I was getting in bed that said, here we go again, kind of theme to it. And so I, got it on the phone, and so I said, oh gosh. And then obviously the Pirates end up winning by 2. The big thing is just you got to win tonight. I think that's the huge part of this, Pilk. Find a way to win tonight. Norby hopefully will have another Norby-esque performance of recent vintage, and you should be able to take the series. And again, a lot still has to happen, but you can't necessarily rule out the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Because UAB took care of business last night. UAB's playing for some things too here. A little bit of a distant shot, but they're still playing for. And Rice kept the heat on last night. Rice run-ruled Tulane.
Yeah. A
desperate Tulane team. So, I look at that. The streak for Jack Herring also was extended. Reaching base streak was extended. I love the fact that the freshman kid hit the home run. I thought
Bachman,
that was great.
Yeah.
Kalinic stepped up. We'll talk to Dylan Johnson more about this, Pilk, but you obviously you had a hand in the beginning to end of the game. So what are your thoughts out of last night as we head into Game 2 tonight?
Yeah, I think this pitching staff did a really good job filling up the zone. If they were going to lose last night, they were going to force the FAU hitters to beat them. Towers had an inning where he walked a few guys, but that's Ryan Towers. It seems like he's always got one inning where he has control issues, but nothing was hurt in that inning, so he pitched out of it. I'm not worried about him. But that's what it is with the bullpen is continuing to fill up the zone, and the defense. Gosh, the defense has got to help them out. I mean, the amount of unearned runs last night. Again, the pitchers pitched better than what their lines say because we're not playing good defense. And, that's frustrating, but it is good to see, as you mentioned, Bachman, Kalinic coming in those roles. They bunted a little better last night. Cliff still wasn't pleased with it post-game, but they did lay down back-to-back bunts one inning that went really well. Yeah.
Right.
And I get
squeezed in a run last night.
Me and Dylan and Coach O get in the next commercial break. I was like, that's the most Cliff Godwin coached inning we've seen all year. And I can't remember if it was Dylan or Coach O said, put a tear to my eye. And so we had fun with that. But, one of the big things tonight, Patrick, you win tonight, you at least lock up a top 4 seed, which means you're guaranteed into the double elimination part of this tournament because 5 through 8 are going to play that single play-in game that they have to play in to get into the double elimination side. So tonight, as you mentioned, crucial for the series, but crucial for, if all hell were to break loose the rest of the way.
Next.
Number 2.
Sticking to Diamond Sports and East Carolina athletics, it was announced yesterday afternoon that Kenesha Anderson earned a all-region team in the NFCA Mid-Atlantic All-Region as the center fielder. So congratulations to junior Kenesha Anderson.
I believe ended up leading the American in hits, which I don't think anybody maybe necessarily had on the bingo card, to quote Mr. ACC. So, I look at this as, and I meant to call Shane Winkler yesterday. I may call him over the weekend just to get an idea of how's it going with the post season exit meetings, because I have to imagine some schools are coming after Kenesha Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
And I
I'm
have
sure.
no knowledge of this, Shane. I seriously have not talked to Shane as we do this right now. But, she is such a good player. And the slapper approach is really kind of days of yore, no longer really vogue in softball. It's more of that power slapper role that she is adjusted to beautifully. She prolongs at bats. She finds her way on base. And it would be huge for ECU's prospects if and when she returns next year. I just hope that, look no further than your former teammate, Emma Jackson. The grass ain't always greener. The money's green, but the grass may not always be greener on the other side.
Is the money green when you quit after 2 weeks? Do you get to keep all that money if you quit the team?
And Pilk putting the business in the street. I like it. All right.
I was told she quit the team. I don't know.
She wasn't on the roster after February. I know that.
Yeah.
And she wasn't playing a whole lot prior to whatever happened, not being on the active roster. So it is, that's terrible. And there's someone that could have finished with as much adulation as Anna Sawyer rightfully received this year.
Yeah.
Because she would have put up big numbers. I think ECU may even be going and playing right now in the NCAA tournament. Presuming a lot of things. She stays healthy, the bat stays. Even if Sarah Stone stayed healthy this year, I think East Carolina would probably be playing right now in the softball regionals. But, Emma Jackson was a proven commodity for sure and had done it. Had gap-to-gap alley power, had home run power. So I would caution anybody. The Kendall Frost side of that is a little more of the situation that is less dire. Kendall Frost had a very effective year for North Carolina. But,
it doesn't always guarantee it's going to turn out that way.
Right. That might be the exception than the rule. And these are cautionary tales. And again, I'm speaking just mere speculatively here, mere speculation. I'm not speaking on any knowledge. I'm not speaking on any insider insight, a wink and a nod. To me, she's a fantastic player. She's a great athlete, center fielder, great student. You're probably going to get a fifth year anyway.
Yeah.
So finish it out in Greenville, get your degree, do all and then if you decide you want to go post-grad and go somewhere else. And I never have a problem with that. If somebody has fulfilled their obligation of a degree at your institution and they decide, all right, I'm going to grad school, but I want to spend that year elsewhere playing.
Yeah.
Have at it.
I agree.
I have no problem. And if that comes with money, even better.
Yeah. No, I'm good with that, especially when you see, I've seen some student athletes, they will transfer to maybe higher academic institutions. Not on ECU, but I'm just saying, like, you go to some private schools where you get your schooling paid for, maybe a little dough on the side, and you can go get that grad degree from, hey, I got my grad school degree from Vanderbilt or Duke, or, maybe she goes back home to California at Stanford or something like that, too.
Right, sure.
Who can blame somebody for something like that?
No, you can't. But let's just hope she's back. And again, no insider knowledge here. Just have two guys having a conversation on radio on a Friday.
Number three.
All righty. North Carolina passed a state budget. Oh my goodness! I think I was in diapers the last time.
They've agreed to the framework. They still have to negotiate it.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyways, here's Dr. Reeder, a state representative member, on the gambling money and how that could be allowed to as it goes to all the taxpayers' dollars that are coming in to the institutions.
The gambling money. Destin Hall was here and said that his plan is to take the gambling revenues have come in astronomically higher than we thought they were going to be projected, than they were projected. And Destin's plan was to split the money that goes to the university system 10%, not 10%, but equally between all of the different universities that play Division I football, which would mean it would be ECU, Charlotte, App State, Carolina State. Now, they have so far I haven't heard a word about that, and this is a really big deal for ECU. And I have been told this week that NC State's lobbyists and some of their advocates are up there really pushing for the idea for NC State and UNC Chapel Hill to get $25 million, which would leave ECU with about $5 million. Again, what's the justification for that? I don't get it. But I mean, do you know anything about that or where that's headed?
So I'm not in the middle of that detailed negotiations, but there are several big issues up here. That's certainly one of them. I've weighed in on it. Again, ECU shouldn't take second chair to the other Division I schools that happen to be up here in the Triangle. So again, I'm going to continue to advocate for that. And we talked about before, there's a framework. This is one of those big decisions that different areas have to make, in higher education, in the funding. From my area in healthcare, how do we fund the $26 billion that we spend on Medicaid between the state and federal? How do we pay for hospitals and physicians and all those services? So each one of us up here has different areas where we spend a lot of time. And then it someday, and we're hoping to vote this out the second week of June. So when we come back the first week of June, our caucuses, we're going to get together and we're going to hash out these fights and figure out what the end product is.
So that really laid out beautifully, and that was from Talk of the Town this morning, where Dr. Reeder joined Henry Hinton and myself with kind of a legislative update. So that's one of the details that are still being worked out within the budget. Essentially, NC State and North Carolina are looking for, sports gambling's been wildly successful. The revenues have exceeded any projections. And so NC State and the University North of Carrboro are hoping that they will get the vast majority of the monies to the tune of $25 million each, which would then, let's say it's about, I think the number we heard is they're looking to do $4 or $6 million for the remaining three FBS playing football schools in the state, the Happy Appies, the Niners of Charlotte, UNC Charlotte, and then our beloved East Carolina University. Destin Hall, who you heard referenced there, is the Speaker of the House. And what he was telling people on the ground in Greenville about a month ago is, I want this equally distributed among those institutions. So just based on the figures, that's more in the lines of $12.5 million each. Nothing to sneeze at all. But essentially, NC State and North Carolina are seeking double that and thus taking the money out of the pockets of the institutions ECU and App and Charlotte. It's never easy being a pirate. What I hope will happen is someone like Reeder can get engaged and lay this out and make the case for this. And I would also hope that there are other advocates in the governing bodies who just aren't going to be, starry-eyed over North Carolina and NC State and just say, okay, we'll throw a few scraps the way of these other three. And so you got to – the one thing I think is really good, there seems to be a strong lobby of App people within the legislature and some Charlotte people even in the legislature. So let's hope we can have those folks advocate on behalf of East Carolina in a sense, and that it's more of an equitable distribution. But there's no reason on earth that distribution for East Carolina isn't at minimum $10 million to $12 million. There's no reason.
No, it shouldn't be. Again, and this is part of a much larger problem that we could do a whole segment, probably a whole show on. It goes back to when the BCS, was created, and it, for the first time ever in college athletics, officially made a difference in what we call the haves and the have-nots. They were always there, but it made certain institutions and certain conferences believe that they're better than everybody else, and they're entitled to more than everybody else. And right now, State and Carolina would be doing this anyways, but they're even pushing harder now because remember the Roadrunner cartoon when Roadrunner runs away and he gets smaller and smaller as he runs away? Yeah, Duke is the Roadrunner right now, and State and Carolina are the cameraman in the Roadrunner cartoon. So they're even pushing forward harder.
I think, I wouldn't even necessarily sing. I hear what you're saying on maybe a macro or a micro level. I think big picture, anything to keep up with what the SEC and the Big Ten are doing is what every ACC institution is trying to figure out right now. And look, let's be honest. The money out of these budgets on a more university level, the vast majority of it has always gone to UNC. NC State then gets their piece of the pie, which is significant. About a quarter is the old adage, with North Carolina getting half the pie, State getting a quarter of it, and then that last quarter is fought for among the other member institutions, including East Carolina. So I'd hope, and look, we also don't know where is the you got to play them part of this attached to it.
Yeah.
In both basketball and football. So there's still a lot to be worked out, and those are some of the details that are I just hope there's a push for it. And again, there's no reason East Carolina doesn't get anything as at a minimum of $10 million in this. It'd be great if you could get 12, 13, or 14.
4.
Number 4, last night, the NFL schedule release. There had obviously already been some leaks. 5 teams got no prime time games. That is a significant number, but it is clear they're trying to put the best teams in prime time. It is the Jets, our guy James Gilio's Jets, and our guy Joey Sands' Jets, the Titans, the Cardinals, the Raiders, and our guy Kyle Gaskin's Dolphins. No primetime football.
The Dolphins may be a tad bit of a surprise, but when you're talking about primetime, the Raiders are a little bit of a surprise because
you had the number 1 pick.
Have the number 1 pick. The Raiders, they're not the tippy top brand like Dallas or Green Bay or even Pittsburgh, but they are a brand.
Yes,
they're on that 1A tier as far as across the board brands in the NFL. So that's a little surprising. And with Mendoza in fold, that is a tad bit that they're not on a rando Sunday or Monday. Panthers, are we doing the Panthers next?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so we're going to do a more specific breakdown of them. One thing, and I had to stand at time to do it, I wanted to do this, and maybe this will be something we'll look at or maybe get some of our interns to research for us. But I would be curious to find out what are the Cowboy prime slots, and I would consider the 4:30 or the 4 o'clock slot as a prime slot. It's not prime time, but you know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, we get saddled with these horrible Cowboy teams, these mediocre Cowboy teams playing on true national television. And, Pilk, here's what I'm not pining to see the Cardinals or the Titans necessarily.
Yeah.
But I mean, enough of the damn Cowboys.
And I think that's the thing, man. You mentioned the 425, and I want to emphasize that because it used to seem like there were 4 or 5 games on at 425, and you could change it. Now there's like 2, maybe 3. They want that. CBS and Fox have really fought hard for that to be treated as a primetime game. And, when Kansas City and Buffalo are playing, great, cool.
Fine.
But when it's Dallas against insert 9 and 8 team here, I'm tired of watching the damn Cowboys. So here you go, PJ. Open the season Sunday night, Dallas. Then 4:25 time slot already announced as the Fox game of the week against Washington.
All right. Yeah.
4:25 game of the week in Brazil against Baltimore. So here we go. We're at 3.
Yeah.
Okay, normally a 1 o'clock game, then a Thursday night game, then a Sunday night game, then a Monday night game. Okay, a 1 o'clock. Then a 4:25 game against San Fran. I guarantee you Cowboys-Niners are going to be on TV. Okay, then they got the Titans. Then they got Thanksgiving Day. You know that's coveted. Then a Monday night. Then a Sunday night. Then another Sunday night. Or no, sorry, then a Sunday 4:25 against the Rams. Then another Sunday night. I mean, that's 3/4 of the damn schedule.
I mean, look, and they'll draw numbers. They won't draw numbers from the Johnson household because that's prime touch grass time. I mean, just get out, get away. I mean, they're middling at best. There's nothing compelling about what they do. Watching them, the on the field drama, off the field drama is contrived and not interesting. Maybe the rest of the world will catch up with this, but I doubt it.
So, and here's the thing, PJ. We mentioned there's only a couple games. So some people say, oh, get Sunday ticket. The only other game that's going to be on is going to be the Cardinals hosting somebody who's going to kick the crap out of them, or the Raiders hosting somebody that's going to kick the crap out of them. You're either watching a game that's 31-7 or the Cowboys.
I'd be more interested in watching the Raiders. I'm not saying every one of those, but I mean, I'd be more interested in watching the Raiders because of the Mendoza thing. I want to see. Yeah. I think America and football fans are interested to see how that goes. All right, what's next?
5.
Number 5, the Carolina.
I knew I'd get you wound up. I knew I'd get you wound up with that. I knew it.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least you did it for the 4th one. Here we are at number 5 now, and the Carolina Panthers got 3 night games, most they've had since 2016. They will open the season at home. Seems like it's been a while since that's happened against the Chicago Bears. Also, 4 of the last 5 games down the stretch at home. The Panthers lately have just been hitting the road late in the season, but will play some nice, cool 50-degree days in the Queen City down the stretch in December and January.
You're excited about that. They also will close the season at Atlanta, which seems like historically comes down to who's going to win the South every year. That game does. And maybe it's just anecdotally, or the Panthers are involved in that. No, I think 3 may be a little much for the primetime pilk, but it feels about right. I think that's the most you would want to have on there. 2 would seem like a fair deal. The thing that would concern me if I am a fan of the Panthers, and I'm anxious to get your take on this, what do you do with a week 5 bye, and then you have to play 12 straight weeks of football?
That's tough.
How do you work around that? That seems tough.
But it's interesting. It seems like it's been the exact opposite the last few years. They've had a week 13 bye, right? So it's been 12 going into it.
Right.
All I'm going to say, PJ, last time the Panthers had a week 5 bye, they're playing in February.
All right.
They figured it out.
Got hot.
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Stayed hot. 14.
Yeah, got hot, stayed hot. All right. I thought we were doing Rock You Like a Hurricane to the Maniscalco.
Oh, we were. Dang it. I totally botched that. I even had it pulled up, and I just, out of habit, found it. Yeah. But anyways, but back to we can chit-chat while I'm getting our crazy music library pulled up here. You mentioned the 3 being a little much. I agree, but when I was looking at, there's some teams with 7. There's just so many primetime games. Now, there's like 2 Wednesday. There's like 2 Wednesday games. There's some Friday games.
Yeah. And just to clarify one thing on the Cowboy point, we're not saying the Cowboys have all, but the 4/25, whatever it is, that is the exclusive national window.
Yeah.
And that basically, if it's not primetime adjacent, in the NFL TV world, it's primetime. There we go. All right, Mike Maniscalco, voice of my Carolina Hurricanes. Coming up next, we're going to talk about what the Canes are doing as they get ready next week to start the Eastern Conference Final against to be determined. Stick and stay. It is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Beep, beep. Move over, Buttercup. We're back to the show.
We're back! And I love them.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
After a span of several months, Maniscalco made the fatal mistake of answering a text, and now we are wearing him out on the Patrick Johnson Show. Mike Maniscalco, the North Carolina Sportscaster of the Year and the voice of my Carolina Hurricanes. as they now await their next opponent in the Eastern Conference Final. What are you doing? First of all, hello to you, sir. Thank you for being with us on the Friday edition and hopping back on. Secondly, what are you doing with all this downtime?
I'm watching a lot of Buffalo and Montreal and going over notes. So that's about it. And laundry. I've really caught up on the season's worth of laundry, as I like to tell everyone, and some sleep, some much needed sleep. But no, the Canes still have practices. They still have media availabilities that I go to, and you look to see if they're tweaking anything. Honestly, like when people ask like for the role here now, and it really hasn't changed much since I've moved into the play-by-play role. You go and you try to watch tendencies and you try to pick up things that they're doing on the power play or, were they moving the puck in certain situations? So when I'm calling the game, I can anticipate it. So there's been plenty of stuff to do. I get to meet my wife for a very long period of time during the season. That rarely ever happens. So that's been nice. And other than that, you just get ready for what comes next and the ride that the Canes are on. If they want to keep winning in 4 games, I am completely fine with this.
We have many questions, or I have many questions to ask you about this. Bill, do we have his call from the other night where they clinched?
Let me pull it up yet.
Okay. This is why we didn't win the Sportscaster of the Year, and Maniscalco did, because a good producer would have that just like, yes, I've got it here, Mr. Johnson. But no, that is not how we roll. That's not how we roll here on the PJ show, and that's why we are not Sportscaster of the Year material here on this little radio clubhouse.
See,
Pilk,
Patrick,
yes,
Patrick, you win that award by overcoming those you work with.
Or maybe the other way. Maybe the other way around.
I was going to say, that's why Trip Tracy won it before I did.
I see. So you're saying Pilk should win it, is what you're saying. Pilk deserves the award compared to me.
Well, those are your words.
Right.
Those are your words. You're the host. I'm not going to disagree with the host on his own show.
All right. The great Mike Maniscalco with us here. Pilk, what do we have? We have this thing pulled up yet? Or
I realized that I did not record it the other day. We just played it off the video because we dubbed it into vMix, and I've got to go find it.
Well, I lived it, so we can talk about it.
Or we can move on. What a great call it was. And it was even cooler to be able to see it on video, but to listen to it as well. And here's what I think people don't understand about the play-by-play realm, or even the just the general hosting a show realm. You probably have things you want to talk about, or trends, as you say, that you want to highlight or observe and kind of weave into the thing. But anybody who is rehearsing a call or trying to get their bleep in, as they say in pro wrestling, it usually does not turn out very well, and it's a little hacky. So that was all genuine emotion and fun, and I loved it when Trip Tracy knocked your headset off. Those are my takeaways.
No, it's and thank you for saying that. And look, there are guys out there who have their scripted stuff, and they're going to get it in, and they have the same call every game. And there's, as I say in this business, and I've said it forever, Patrick, and you and I have known each other for a long time. There's more than one way to do this job. There's no handbook. There's no blueprint. Some people like the robotic stuff. The guys who change their voice, but then when you talk to them in real life, they sound different. I can't do that.
Sure.
I can't stay in the moment. Hey, I can't do that. I just can't. No. So you get the authentic me. And sports is fun, and it's entertainment, and it's exciting. And, I work for the Carolina Hurricanes. They are my employer. I want to see them win. And for me, I go back to the calls growing up that made me, okay, if I can't play the game, why would I want to do this? And the calls that make the hair on your arms, stand up, like they give you that. Vin Scully was the Dodgers announcer forever, but his call in '86 of the ball gets by Buckner, in the way he says it, it's like, it's not, he could have just mailed that in, but there was excitement to it. And I think when you have announcers, especially broadcasters, there's a fine line for me between being that just overt homer and then being excited about something. And, look, you score a game-winning goal in overtime that clinches the series. If you're not excited about that, then why are you in the sports world? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you paying attention to it? You need to be excited for it. So I really do appreciate you saying that. And, again, the great moments that are there. And it's like people sit there and they'll say, oh, did you have this? Did you want to say that? Did you know this was coming? No, I didn't know Jackson Blake was going to score the overtime goal. And I didn't know that Tripp was going to come off of the top rope with the people's elbow. I knew there might be a collision because he gets excited, but I wasn't thinking I was going to have to deal with a stone cold stunner as I'm trying to call and there's all my wrestling references for you today. But for me, you just move along with it and have fun. And again, this team is providing all of the excitement for me, Patrick. And that's the fun part. And for those of you who can listen with us on the Hurricanes Radio Network, we're really grateful that you're along for the ride. And we're really cool that we can bring this booth cam to you so you can see how we're reacting to it.
All right. Pilk's got it up. Let's relive the magic of that call, the clinching play to sweep the series in Philly.
Slavin, he gets it to Hall. Hall whips it across. Blake with a shot. He scores! It's over! Series over! Jackson Blake wins it in overtime!
I love it. That's awesome. So good.
Well, I had to explain this, and it's funny because some fans out there, and I know you should never read the comments, but some fans out there commented on the video that goes with it. And one of them, Patrick, was, I often wondered why Mike's voice sounds the way it does, and now I understand he's getting mauled by Tripp. So kudos to him. Fine. The thing for me was Tripp comes up high after the initial contact. We can go review this with Dave Jackson later. And the mic hits my lip.
Yeah.
And people, even though you got the muffs and all that, I thought it split my lip. And I'm truly fearful that now on this video camera, I'm going to start gushing blood from my mouth.
Right.
Because, you get that little feeling right there. And sometimes, you take a punch to the mouth, nothing happens. Sometimes it's a little nick. And you can hear it when I say Jackson Blake. But
yes,
I have enough common sense to pull the mic back down. And luckily I was fine. And, it's hockey. You play through the hit. You take the hit to make the play, Patrick.
I know you also did not want to get blood on those expensive clothes you buy from the haberdashery that we both go to, and you buy several suits, and I maybe get one a year. All right. So when I would do basketball with Cy Seymour, he used to get me Cy's always beating you during the game. He's pushing you, he's reaching. So that's fun. Well, that means everybody's engaged. All right.
It is. I love
Enough
it. I
of this.
absolutely love it.
Yes, let's get so it's the third time in 4 years going to the Eastern Conference Final. How is this edition different, do you think, than those prior two?
I think that they've never been deeper as far as the forward ranks go and the depth scoring that they have. In years past, it was always the question was going to be, well, who's going to score for the Carolina Hurricanes? Well, right now, the Logan Stankoven, Jackson Blake, Taylor Hall line might be the best line in the playoffs, the way that they've produced and the way that they do it, not just on the power play, but 5-on-5. The Sebastian Aho line, everybody is worried it's not getting points. And then you point out, hey, look what they're doing because they're generally matched up against the other team's top line, the way that it's worked out against Ottawa and Philly. And the opposition has done nothing. So you can take the draw there as long as you have the Stankoven line. Nikolai Ehlers is just a different animal. And you put him on that line with Stahl and Martinook, they're an offensive threat. And the Canes have this weapon with Mark Jankowski centering Eric Robinson and Will Carrier. I mean, I think I can count on one hand in 8 games the amount of shifts they've had in their own zone, meaning defensively, that you've got a fourth line that's, generating a forecheck or offensive opportunities. Eric Robinson could have 4 goals in this postseason. He's been robbed on a couple and had a couple hit the post. So it comes from there. Defensively, they're as good as they've ever been, if not better, when you talk about how they play and the group of 6, how they skate, how they can recover, what they can do. And, people want to point to Frederik Andersen. Yeah, Frederik Andersen is in the zone right now. But he has been in the zone in the first and second round previously. You want to know why the Eastern Conference Final might be different? The Canes are the best team that is remaining in the Eastern bracket. That's not disrespect to Buffalo or Montreal if they get through. Whereas in the past, Patrick, sometimes you get there and the team that beats you, they might be better. And the Florida Panthers went to 3 straight Stanley Cups. So, nobody ever wants to hear the other team might be better than your team, but those previous iterations of the Panthers with what they put together and how their goalie was playing and everything they did, they knew how to get that job done. So that's, I think, the biggest difference right now. That the Canes have I don't want to call it scar tissue. People have been using that. I think they have the muscle memory of this is what it takes to, and how you have to do this, and don't do that in order to look like what we've seen them look like in this postseason. And that's the biggest thing for me. If you're saying what's different, just how they're carrying themselves into this one with they think they can win versus they know they can win.
Is this the best collection of talent since Brenda Moore's been the coach?
Yeah. I think so. There are, we can split hairs in a couple of positions, but if we're going to talk about 1 through the 20 that suit up every night, yeah, this is without a doubt the best that they've had.
I know there's been time off. Is there any concern as far as Frederick Anderson's, just durability? Because it seems like you go to everybody else is going to the tandem goaltender. This is kind of the hot goalie. But is there any concern about wear and tear, or is this time off providing an adequate enough rest, you think?
No, I think you answered it right there. I think the concern would have popped up if you played 6 or 7 games and you jump right into the next series and Frederick Anderson's gone all the way through. He's not going to play a game for, it could be as much as 11 days. So yeah, I think that anybody who has that concern, they can just put that one to bed, because of he's had the rest. He hasn't had to play 7 games in 14 days. He just has to go and do what he's done. I think he's played what now, 8 games in 6 weeks. You don't get that in the regular season. So, right. Or 4 or 5 weeks, however it's gone. But I'm also going to go back to the regular season where he didn't play the last 2 games. So no, I get that has been a concern in the past. I don't think that has any impact as we're talking right now today.
So, Mike, I think right now you mentioned it. The Canes are the best team in the Eastern Conference remaining. So what do you think teams have to do to beat the Canes? It seemed like Ottawa just got suffocated in the neutral zone. Philadelphia said, okay, if we get suffocated in the neutral zone, we're going to dump and chase and hope to establish the forecheck beyond our own goal line, or beyond the opponent's goal line, and get the puck back. Well, Carolina did a great job handling the puck beyond their own goal line, getting it back into the neutral zone, and really Philly could not establish any offensive zone time. So what do you think that the opponent, whoever that may end up being, has to do to counter the suffocating neutral zone defense that Carolina has?
It's going to be a simple answer here, Phil, but I think they've got to throw Carolina's game back at them, meaning hang on to pucks in the offensive zone and create a little bit of havoc in front of the net when it comes to trying to score goals. And then the other thing is puck management against the Carolina Hurricanes is, there's a list of cliche answers, but they're all the right ones, because the way that the Canes play, they're going to give up scoring opportunities. We've seen it. They'll give up because of how aggressive they get offensively, and their D will activate to try to score, as there's our inside hockey reference for the day. But they'll try to get a little aggressive there. I think that if you're going up against this Carolina Hurricanes team, you just have to, and this is, it sounds crazy. You have to do what they do. You have to frustrate them. You have to win all of those 50-50 battles. You have to hem them in. You have to get your forecheck going. You just can't fling the puck into the Cane zone and hope that you get it, because the defense is too good. When any of the 6 back there get the puck on their tape, it's going the other way. They're not throwing it in wrong spots. Maybe once a game you'll see a play like that. Maybe. But overall, you just have to value puck possession, and it literally comes down to just the tiny things, and Rod will talk about it. You got to be good in the face-off circle against Carolina. If you can win draws, you got a chance, because now you're starting with the puck. If you're starting with the puck, you force this team to go around. And you got to get the pucks in deep, and when I say play physical, it's not dirty. It's, you have to play that game where you're willing to, you got to get in deep on the forecheck, you got to lay a hit. Don't pass up the opportunity to do that. I'm not trying to give away the game plan here, because if it was that easy, everybody could do it. And it's not, because Carolina dictates the the play, they dictate the action. I'll put it in these terms. If it's a fight, you have to try to fight on Carolina's terms, and that's impossible to do. And as you know, whichever fighter dictates how a fight's going, they're usually going to end up winning. And Carolina dictates the fight, I think, better than anybody in the Eastern Conference right now. And maybe we're talking about Colorado and Vegas in the West who do it as good as Carolina does.
Friend of the show, North Carolina Sportscaster of the Year, voice of my Carolina Hurricanes, Mike Maniscalco, back on the Patrick Johnson Show here today. Sixth all-time appearance in the Eastern Conference Final upcoming here for Carolina. There's a mathematical answer to this, but let's just say all things being equal, who is the more favorable opponent, Montreal or Buffalo in the next round?
I mean, honestly, I know that you want an answer here. I don't think either one is favorable because they pose different problems. Right now with Montreal, they've got a goaltender who's really feeling good about himself, and he should, in rookie Jakub Dobiš. And if you got a goalie feeling good, they're capable of stealing a game. I don't know if he's going to steal a whole series. And Montreal's top line is starting to wake up of Suzuki, Slafkovsky, and Caulfield. So you get that going. They've got a really dynamic offensive defenseman in Lane Hudson. Buffalo, it's funny because people keep telling me, oh, Montreal's the faster team. No, Buffalo's the faster team than Montreal. They're just not playing like it in this series for whatever reason. Buffalo is deeper up front, and they're big on the back end. They're kind of built the way that the Canes are because Kevin Adams, Stanley Cup champion with Carolina in 2006, he built the majority of this team before he was dismissed by Buffalo this year. And he looked at, well, you got to put together a strong blue line. And it's not that they're physically intimidating, but they're big. They move pucks very well when they're on top of their game. And that's a whole different problem to play against. I think Buffalo's goaltending is a little bit less than what Montreal is going right now. So honestly, Patrick, it's not like, oh, the Canes match up better against Montreal. And it's funny, I'm going to say this. Please forget that Carolina didn't beat Montreal in the regular season. It doesn't matter. The playoffs are different now. They just really are. The fact that Montreal went 3-0 against the Canes, and however you want to play that, or they got 3 wins against the Canes, and they fared better against Buffalo. Regular season, so many different variables dictate those outcomes of games. That being said, I can't sit here and tell you, well, I think Buffalo is an easier matchup for Carolina than Montreal, or Montreal would be an easier team. I think they both pose the same set of problems. That being said, Carolina's better than both of those teams. They should dispatch both Buffalo and Montreal.
Detour there, and I was gonna hit you up with a follow up there. But you're from the Buffalo area, so if it is Buffalo, or do you just not have time to see family and friends as you traverse back and forth potentially?
I see my mom. You always make time for your mom. My mom lives there, so I'll definitely make sure I see mom. So, all
right.
But yeah, no, it's I'm there to work. That's what it goes into. I tell everyone, I haven't lived there for 25 years. So
sure.
Hometown aside, I feel like I have to keep explaining this to everybody. And no offense to you, Patrick, it's getting exhausting. I didn't grow up a Bills fan, and I'm from there. I worked for the Sabres, but the coaching staff I worked for, they fired. So, you kind of are like, well, that's easy to move on to a new team if you want to.
Yeah. Right.
So to put all that out there. But no, that's like the one misnomer, if I can, just like overall, for this job is people think, oh, it's party time, right? You go to all these cities and you do it. I'm like, no, we work. There's practice or there's jobs to do. Or sometimes you're just so damn tired, you just stay in your room and try to sleep as much as you can and get that ready to go.
I've always told people two things. One, a relationship from a prior world in life was always asked, hey, do you go to the games with him when he's working? Well, no, he's working. That'd be like him coming to my office and watching me work. And that's a great point. Two, you see a lot of airports, arenas, and hotels. That's really all you see when you're on the road covering a team, generally speaking. With all that said, if the team does not reach the Stanley Cup Finals, is this thing a bitter disappointment this year?
This year, normally I would say no, because when you look at the year that Carolina has, and what they put together. First time ever they were the top seed in the Eastern Conference. That's never happened. Another division title. The fact that they had 7 players reach 20 goals, the fact that they're the only team in the last 8 years to win or advance in the postseason. There's the bubble year where it was a play-in, playoff, but not postseason first round win because they beat the Rangers, but then they got beaten by Boston. But they're the only team to have won a postseason series. They're air quotes, I'll make it official. Postseason series in the National Hockey League. But I think this year, because the fact that they are that team, it would be, especially for the guys in the room, that would be a bitter disappointment. It'd be a fine season, and you can look back on it and say it was really good. But I think that this would be the previous years for anybody to be upset for them being knocked out by the teams that they've been knocked out by. I'm like, you just have to understand the game better. And I've always used the reference of, think of the Houston Oilers or the Baltimore Colts in the 1970s when you've got to go up against the Raiders, the Steelers, and the Dolphins. Guess what? There's not much room for anybody else in that situation. And here you've had Boston, the Rangers had a little bit of a hot minute, and the Florida Panthers. Oh, and Tampa Bay. So, there have been 4 really good teams as Carolina's climbed the ladder. Well, now they've climbed the ladder. So I think that I think that this year would be more of a disappointment than years past if they don't find a way to get 4 wins in the conference final.
Great to talk to you again. Enjoy the weekend, and maybe the first one that you kind of have it kind of off, I guess, for a little bit, and then things will fire up. Great to see you. We'll talk to you soon.
Well, if they keep winning, you got to keep talking to me, Patrick. You're the only one I'm giving that invite to.
We're gonna do it anyway. So, and I got to work up there in a week and a half. So for a few days. So if there's a game that falls, I might be, hey, Maniscalco, some ducats.
Yeah, you can try.
We'll
you can try that. Have fun with that. Here's Ticketmaster's phone number. Good luck.
All right, we will be back. Pilk, do not call him again. No. We love having Mike on. He's the best. All right, check in what's going on in Boca Raton. Pirates playing FAU tonight. We're going to get that to you other side. Get you to the weekend edition of the Patrick Johnson Show as we're having a good time here on this Friday.
And now, the stunning conclusion.
Why is everyone screaming?
On 94.3 The Game.
Extended edition today, and let's now go to Boca Raton, Florida, where in a matter of minutes we'll be joining Dylan Johnson as he'll be joined by Dr. Gary Overton, Coach O, on the air for the ECU Sports Network here on 94.3 The Game. Dylan, we say hello to you. Nice job last night calling that victory, and I kind of look at this as that's been a tough place for teams this year. FAU, it's been a little bit of a tough opponent for ECU in recent times. How impressed were you with what ultimately proved to be ECU showing composure in that 7-5 win and not letting some of the demons of past transgressions in the late innings creep in?
I think it was exactly what we and any ECU Pirate fan wanted to see, right? It was the things that we've been looking for them to do, and it's been especially more difficult to do on the road for this team this year. So to see that was definitely an encouraging sign, and to hang on when it can never be easy. I thought for sure when that ball hit off the first base bag and, it put the game-winning run coming up to the plate right after that one, I thought, if we lose this game, this is a curse somehow or something. But they faced some adversity, and they pulled it out and got the win anyway. And so hopefully that's a good sign of things to come.
Yeah, and look, it's the first game, and it is an important game. You can't win the series if you don't win the first game. Well, I shouldn't say that. You probably can't sweep a series if you don't win the first game is the better way to say it. And you're just looking to get the series win at the very least and get that monkey off your back. So when you look at just kind of the importance of last night from the standpoint of the series, the conference standings, trying to lock down the double bye, and then also enhance the resume to be an at-large should you not win the whole thing in Clearwater next week. How important was Thursday night's win?
Was huge, as will every game from the rest of the way here. And a lot of things worked out in ECU's favor last night. Obviously, you get the win, which is the thing that we can control, is winning the ball games against FAU here. But you had UAB beat UTSA, so that pulls now the Pirates only one game out of first place with 2 games left to go. You had, unfortunately, Rice ruled Tulane there, so they stay right on our heels. But a couple of other teams like Wichita State, for one, who's in that pack, and obviously FAU, because we beat them, kind of all took a step back there. So that's all big. I think resume-wise, at least when Coach O and I looked after the game, RPI had, if anything, moved down a spot, which goes to show just how flawed is that system. But still, even if you're co-champions, if you just win the next 2 and UTSA loses 1 more, you take co-conference champions in the regular season, which UTSA's tiebreaker only counts for seeding purposes moving forward. So we would still get the kind of resume boost that comes from being conference regular season champions from an at-large picture. And then, just in the immediate terms for Clearwater, you badly want and need that double bye that comes with being a top 2 team.
We're talking to Dylan Johnson, ECU baseball radio play-by-play voice. Dylan and Coach O will be on the air in a few minutes with baseball from Boca Raton. We had what felt like some Cliff Godwin ball last night with the squeeze, a couple of bunts. I know he wasn't happy with the bunt game, but that might have been the most Cliff inning we've seen this season.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing to watch, wasn't it? You get 2 guys on, and then Irby lays down a good bunt to move him to second and third, and then Walker Barron, I'm not quite sure how he even got that bunt down, the kind of degree of difficulty with the way he had to angle the bat to put it down, but got the job done, got the run in. And at the time, it looked like, that may be the only run we see the rest of the way, because for 2/3 or more of the ball game, offense was at a huge premium there, and then all of a sudden everybody starts putting runs on the board in the last 2 innings. But that was great to see, especially, I know, you mentioned Cliff wasn't happy with it by and large, because earlier in the game there was some missed opportunities with executing bunts. But in that moment, for a few minutes, it did look like vintage Cliff Godwin ECU baseball.
What are you expecting, or what more appropriately, Dylan, what do the Pirates need out of Ethan Norby tonight?
I think they got to have some depth here from Norb. He's got to go, which he's been able to provide, 6 or 7 innings to be able to use Webb. But briefly last night, I felt like they took him out, maybe in part because to keep his pitch count only at 17 when he came out of the ball game, preserve him. If you want to use him tonight, or maybe if you want to start him tomorrow, I'm not sure. But from Norby here, do what he's always been doing. I like where, when I asked Cliff Godwin about him last weekend ahead of his start against Rice, and the way he kind of answered it gave me the indication there that, look, Ethan Norby knows what the stakes are. He's a veteran on this ECU baseball team. He knows what the program standards are here. He knows what they need to do to take care of business down the way. And if there's anybody on this team that you trust to give the ball to in those circumstances, it's got to be Ethan Norby.
Hey, have a good call tonight. Stay as cool as you can out in the elements.
I'll try.
Put up some traffic cones around the broadcast spot. Maybe that would, prevent interference. Good to talk to you. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thanks, PJ.
All right, there he goes. Great to have Dylan on with us. All right, thanks to Dylan, thanks to Mike Maniscalco, and thanks to you. It is the Patrick Johnson Show. Monday, we'll get Wags on. Enjoy Pirates baseball coming up, and have a great weekend, everybody. Stay cool.